Go!
And what that means, we
Hi,
can back
I'm
real quick. We'll do a little
hello
example here. I'm gonna go
YouTube.
back and
Today
turn on delay.
episode is
See, some of these things off along the
our
way.
show
Only
is
the delay.
dedicated this
But what we
show
can do is we turn on delay,
to
and if you just
our
go, hey,
device.
Hey.
what's happening is
No.
when it's set to effects and transducer like that, the transducer is only happening to the delay parts. So you get a clean, like you going, hey, and then it turns into hey afterwards and sounds like the transducer. So yeah, it would work like that on the harmony voices and stuff would also have some of those things on it. So it's pretty cool. You can sort of set it up and say, hey, do I want this thing to be really obvious and happening all the time, like I'm talking through a megaphone? Yeah, so you hear it on records a lot, right? Where they'll do a delay, and it's the delay that sounds like the telephone or sounds like the megaphone, and so that's a good way to get that effect to go. Yeah.
So you could really duplicate your produced tracks live.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
with all of this stuff, because
started.
in a tune I might have something like that, a radio filter on a backing track or something.
Exactly, and so what you want is to just have a delay here. So you could set the tempo manually. So if you know the tempo of the song, right,
The delay to be.
you want it to be timed with it, right? And if you're playing to tracks or your drummer uses a click track or anything like that, and you know your tempo's going to be really solid the whole night, that's a great way of doing it. The filter styles are just essentially the type of delay that it is. So this is emulating a digital delay unit, tape unit, analog unit, and radio and like megaphone. So these ones can actually apply what would be a transducer style to it as well, but right within the delay. So it's kind of, you can do it kind of on either side.
So you thought of everything.
What we try to do is think of enough stuff, but not so much that it's totally daunting, right? You could never go into this menu and it wouldn't make you not have a really good sound. It just means that if you want to get in there and tweak, there's some stuff you can tweak on.
His professors sent him to investigate.
So you can also set the tempo manually, so you can go over here and say if your tracks you know for sure they're at a particular tempo, you can just fire it right in there. If you've got a drummer playing to a click track, same deal, and you can actually save it to the preset at that tempo, which is pretty sweet. The other way you can do it, if you've got a live drummer who maybe doesn't have the best tempo in the world and you have to readjust as you go, is that if you're on the preset and you press and hold the up button and the hit button at the same time and hold them down for a sec, the tempo will pop up and you'll actually notice the light flashing there, and as I press it, it redoes the tempo. So you can actually tap it like in time with the song as you're going and then just let it go, and then it just sits there and it taps right where it is.
You guys hear me
Right, so
now?
you could readjust if things are starting to get a bit wonky, your delays aren't quite
I'm
tapping on
Denise
time
with Artists
anymore,
at
you're
Heart, and I
freaking
want
out.
to share with
Tap
you
back on
guys
time again.
So
It
just
would
double
one
on
of my
my
favorite
foot, I just
products.
got down
So
on
these
the
Cali
at the
art
same time,
Exactly.
lift it
art
up, and then
markers
tap it out with
are
the other foot.
Exactly.
Or tap it out with
So
your
I
finger.
love them. I'm doing a
Yep.
frog project.
Or with that knot.
No, we don't do, we can actually talk about this right now. What can we do with mic control? Some of our products do have expanded mic control, so you can do a whole bunch of things that are crazy. This one we've limited it to what we felt were sort of the easy ones to get a hold of. So hit button, obviously, like you're doing right now. We can set it to. I'm in the setup menu, by the way. Do you know how to get in there?
Back and no. Oh, right here.
There you go.
Easy, right?
Yeah, totally.
So easy sometimes. It's like over my head.
So I've gone into the setup menu. I selected the MT75 as my mic. There's a couple of different inputs here. A dynamic mic would be like an SM58, something like that. A condenser mic would be like a studio mic, that's a larger one that needs power. And then you can select MP75. And once you select MP75, then you can control what mic control does. So you go over into the function here, and right now it's set to hit, but you could set it to hit and talk, which means if you press and hold, now it goes into talk mode. So what that is it's like bypass. So if you've got a bunch of harmonies and stuff on your voice, you don't want to necessarily say like, so how's everybody doing tonight, with a bunch of harmonies or like a bunch of delay on
Which
your
I
voice.
did once,
Exactly,
actually.
yeah.
That was interesting.
So you can do that to get into talk mode, and it does get emulated by pressing and holding this button. So I can get us out of talk mode, and I can press and hold here and get us away from the unit.
And now I'm over
Hear
to
record information from outside, and it doesn't hear
I'm
anything for the aux in,
you.
and it doesn't have a key set in the song itself. When we set that key to F. If neither of those things are true, then it'll start listening to the mics, and it'll say, oh, hey, what's going on in the room? What key is this song in? Can I hear a guitar or some other instrument that has some chords going on? So that's a really cool thing to set. You can set
Yes, you can
just
get
ambient if you want, and
all-
all that does is it just activates the mics inside the box.
Okay.
So what you can do is in the mix screen over on this side, it gives us the mix parameters. You can actually listen to what's going on with the room sense. It's going to tell us to connect headphones because it won't actually put the room sense out into the PA because it would feedback like crazy. But you can set it in your headphones. So if you have like in-ear monitors and you wanted these mics to like listen to the room a little bit. So you know sometimes like have you used in-ears before?
I have.
Okay, so you know how it kind of isolates you from the rest
Totally.
of
You
the
don't
world?
get any of that room, and you feel really
Yeah.
disconnected from the performance.
Exactly. So oftentimes they'll actually put a mic up on stage and blend it into an in-ear monitor mix so that the artist has, you know, sort of a feeling of connection with the crowd. Somebody yells something at them and actually hear it, you know, so they can heckle back. You know?
Totally.
So you can use room sets like that. You just add a little bit of
Comes
Oh, very
stuff in
cool.
there. Yeah, I'll turn it down here and go back way set up straight. And ambient audio. Now you also have voice.
You can go to
You have to use headphones for this.
and click
But
it
what you
out.
can see here is it's actually lighting up
Right.
green and red and all that right now. Is
You
the
go
mic
to,
no longer works. It's actually using the mics as the vocal mic. So if you didn't have a mic with you at all and you just had a pair of headphones and this
Pick
was
that
your
up.
charge, you just leave it on the desk and we've got it set up. It's pretty sensitive, so we've got it set up. You could sit back this far and you could just sing into it and actually, you know, have the effects go on your voice. It's kind of a practice type deal. I mean, you certainly
Right.
wouldn't use that at a gig or anything, but if you don't have
It's
another
there.
mic around, it works. Yeah, for sure. Woo, that was a cool little
Hello.
into the room. This is kind of a neat one. The aux in, we were actually having a conversation around the office one day saying, hey man,
Go
if we
to
if we could like go forward in time and actually be a bit clairvoyant, we could know what the song is doing ahead of time and then make the harmonies a little more accurate and make them fall a bit closer to the voice. 'Cause there's obviously a tiny little delay when it has to listen to the song, figure out what the harmony is, and then make that harmony
Right.
around your voice. So what we decided was, if you got tracks and you've got them coming in through the aux in like that, and you're listening to the song, if we delay that just slightly, you'll press play and there's this ever so slight delay before you actually hear what happens. We've actually kind of gone forward in time. The song is just delayed a little bit, so you don't hear it for a split second, but the box hears it ahead of you.
Oh, so it knows.
So then it's sort of saying, hey, I can catch it, I can catch up here a little bit, and I can make it a little bit more accurate. So the reason we put the control in here, though, is that say if you were in the studio, you wouldn't want to have what you're hearing, say, out of your virtual instrument or what, like the tracks that you're listening to, you know, from your DAW or whatever you're recording it. You won't want those delayed. You want to have that real time. So
75.
the tracks mode is for when you're using an MP3 player. So you're listening to tracks.
Thank you.
Live mode is when you want to have it happen right now.
Okay.
I don't want to
Now
have any
you can
delay
go
going on. I
on.
don't want to have any compensation for anything. I want to have it immediate. So that's just a good little trick. So if things are staggered a little bit and you're trying to do recording with it, just mess with that. That'll get you where you're going. Pitch core amount is pitch correction amount. It's autochromatic pitch correction that applies to everything. So it hits the mic, comes in here and immediately starts getting corrected, and it's got an amount from off all the way to 100%. And 100% is kind of like hard tune.
It's gonna sound auto-tuney, but
It'll sound a bit
but
hard
midway
tune.
will just bump you up or down that extra.
Exactly, yeah. You can think about it, you know, the notes here, you kind of went over and it just, it kind of puts you back on, right? So that's, I find that maybe 20 to 40% is a really good place to just kind of hang out with. Tone style is our automatic adaptive EQ and compression. So when you're singing into the mic, it's saying, oh, I want to sing to be a little brighter, I want it to be a little boomier, you know, that kind of stuff. And the vocal range is really hot, you know, really
So
big.
if I'm
You
like
wanna
really
switch it down.
belting, it'll kind of compress it for me.
Exactly. So you can have tone
Click
style
off.
off.
Click on.
Normal is what we most of the time set it to, and then there's a bunch of other settings in here. Less bright if you're really effy, or warmth if you're a really thin voice, that kind of stuff. More compression, so if you have a very big dynamic range, like you're quite the belter, maybe more compression would work for you, so it would end up kind of
So
switching.
these
Thank
are
you,
on
Amazon.
all the time.
It's on all the time. It's in the setup. Yeah.
Right.
So
Here we go.
that's kind of a neat little addition.
Does that work
Wow.
in any sense with the harmony? Would it be coming out in
All the harmonies would come out the one side with your voice, all in mono, and then all the tracks would come out the other side in mono. Yeah. Vocal cancel's kind of neat. It allows you to literally turn off the vocals within a song. So if you have a track playing in stereo, and you hit vocal cancel, it'll actually try and remove the singer from the song.
Oh.
So it does some little funky stuff with
This
bass and that
is
kind of stuff, and it works really well on some songs and not so well on other songs, depending on the mix
This
that's
is
actually
the
come out in the studio that way. But you'll find that you can actually kind of
$200.
make a karaoke track out of virtually anything that you're singing along to. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's super cool.
And then similar to vocal cancel, these can get a little confusing because they sort of sound like they do the same thing. Leave mute actually mutes your voice in the signal path. So let's experiment. So we'll turn lead mute
Wow.
on. What I'll do is I'll go into the effects here and I'll turn on some harmonies. Turn off all the other effects here real quick. There we go. Okay, so then we'll turn on some harmony. Now if you sing, only the harmony is coming through.
Oh.
So your voice doesn't come through at all. So if you wanted to do something like a really low, like we do octave down. Right, that's where lead mute would come in handy. Also when you're recording, if you wanted to send back just the harmonies, you've already got a lead vocal track and you're wanting to record just harmonies, you turn the lead mute on. It's going to mute the lead.
It's only going to record the
It's only
harmony
going to
part.
record the harmony part back, and then in your mixer you'd be able to deal with it after that. Okay, a couple other quick little ones. Digital out level just controls the amount of signal going out through like USB.
Oh, okay.
So if it's clipping in your computer, you just turn it down right there. Headphone limiter. I normally keep it off because I like to blow my ears out with headphones, but you can set the headphone limiter.
It's the same idea, just in with the headphones.
It's so that you don't get too loud. It's like a volume kind of control, so it just doesn't blow your ears out. Global key is kind of an interesting one. If you set the key, it will stay in that key as you change presets. So if you wanted every preset to be an F, like we said it before, you could set it to global key, and it would, no matter what you
Every
change,
song
every song would be an F. So if that's the only key you can sing in, yeah.
And probably A minor. A minor is like my favorite.
There you go.
So everything is A minor. So yes.
Global tempo, it's kind of the same deal. If global tempo was on and you set the tempo like we did,
tempo forever.
it would just stay the same tempo for the whole thing. Yeah. Now looping, we haven't really talked about looping yet, but we'll get to it in a sec. You can do several different types of input, and it's essentially what's going to the looper. So we have three choices: just the voices, just the tracks that you have potentially coming in, or both. And you can
So I could loop the song and my vocals, or
Yeah.
just my vocals, or just the song.
Totally, and some of them, like if the song has just an intro, you could just loop that intro and it
So
keeps
like,
playing over and over
this
again.
is so perfect. I was at a gig the other day, and because I do play the track along
Yeah.
with live instrumentation as well, but I wanted the beginning intro of the song to loop because I wanted to do some chatting and I didn't want it to speak
There
out
you go.
space.
Yeah, perfect.
So
You could
we were doing it in our Serato. It was all challenging, but that's awesome
Yeah, you could
because
do
I
it live.
wanted to do that like a week ago. So that's great.
Undo just lets you undo when you're doing a loop. So if you've added a layer and you don't like it, you can take it away. By turning undo off, you get a longer loop time. It's sort of a compromise. You can be risky and have no undo, but have a longer loop where you can have half the time of
This
loop.
is
I think 15 or 30 seconds at the time, and have the undo. Okay, so last but not least in looping is loop feedback, and there's a little bit of math involved. It's in the manual. You can kind of read about the scary math part of it, but essentially what happens is if you kept looping and adding things on top and on top and on top all at the same volume, it would just get louder and louder and louder and louder.
Right.
So what this does is it kind of diminishes the stuff as it goes in a stack, so it keeps it from getting crazy in volume. So you can experiment with different settings. Presets is pretty straightforward.
Oh.
One of the ones on here that is important is the up-down function.
just
So right now it's set to looping. That means if you push the up and down button, I'll get out to show you. Push the up and down button, it goes into loop mode. But you can set it to be set key. So if you wanted to set key on the fly, then you'd have it set. So it's the same as doing, getting into your tap tempo, but you're getting into set key. And this actually allows you to say, hey, okay, what key do I want to be in? Oh, I want to be. You said you want to be in A minor. Where we will go around here. There we go. A minor, we'll go minor 2, and then we'll just let it time out, and it'll go back.
And we want to thank you for
Set it.
watching.
Now, actually,
Thank you
go in and
all
back.
for being here.
Let me go to the harmony. Key set thing. Now it'll say A. The minor 2 part is actually the scale that you set. So that's actually in the advanced menu. So you can set scale there. Remember, I said things in advanced menu, so you can check it out. So that's where the scales go.
You can go
Yeah,
to
cool. So we're, I
Facebook
think it's
and
pretty much the end
Facebook
there.
page.
So you just set those two.
Or
Lead delay, you can set it to sync the
can go
voices
to
up
that
to
tag,
the harmonies or the
colors.
doubling and that kind of stuff. If there's any processing that happens in the box that would mean that the effects come up a little bit behind your voice, it'll
Thank
actually
you for
delay your
watching.
lead